Are you eating what you believe are healthy foods, yet still feeling foggy, inflamed, low on energy, or worse, worried about long-term diseases like cancer or memory decline? Here's something that may surprise you. Some of the most powerful, science-backed compounds that help starve cancer cells, reduce chronic inflammation, and even support DNA repair are not found in exotic supplements, but in foods that have been around for thousands of years. And today we're going to focus on a very specific group that's often misunderstood: dried fruits. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Aren't dried fruits just concentrated sugar? That's the common belief. But here's what's really going on inside your body. When chosen correctly and used strategically, especially at the right time of day, certain dried fruits can actually stabilize blood sugar, support mitochondrial function, nourish brain cells, and activate your body's natural defense systems against disease. This is particularly important as we age, because after the age of 50 or 60, several key systems begin to decline. Your mitochondria become less efficient. Your brain's ability to repair itself slows down. Your retina and vision cells become more vulnerable to oxidative stress. And your immune surveillance system, the one that detects and destroys abnormal cells, becomes weaker. So the question becomes, how do we support these systems naturally without relying solely on medication? That's exactly what we're going to break down today. We'll explore how specific dried fruits contain compounds that help cut off the fuel supply to harmful cells, reduce chronic low-grade inflammation, the root cause of most diseases, and activate pathways in your body that support DNA repair and cellular longevity. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your body like a city. Your cells are the citizens, your blood vessels are the roads, and your immune system is the security force. Now, when everything is working properly, damaged or dangerous cells are identified and removed quickly. But when inflammation builds up and your metabolic health declines, it's like the city's security system starts to fail. Damaged cells, including potential cancer cells, are no longer cleared efficiently. They begin to grow, adapt, and survive. And one of the biggest drivers of this process? Metabolic dysfunction, especially unstable blood sugar and chronic inflammation. What we eat directly influences this environment. And this is where these 4 dried fruits come in. Used correctly, and especially in the evening, they can help create an internal state that supports cellular repair during sleep, brain detoxification, and metabolic balance overnight. In other words, you're not just eating for today's energy. You're programming your body for overnight healing and long-term resilience. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to do that. We'll break down which dried fruits actually support these processes, how they work inside your body at a cellular level, and how to use them in a simple, practical nightly routine. Because small, consistent actions done daily are what truly transform your health. If this kind of science-based practical breakdown is helpful for you, consider subscribing. I post content like this every day to help you take control of your health naturally. Let's start by clearing up one of the biggest misconceptions in nutrition. All sugar is bad. That's not entirely true. Here's what's really going on inside your body. When you eat refined sugar, like in processed snacks, it enters your bloodstream very quickly. This causes a rapid spike in blood glucose, followed by a sharp insulin response. Over time, this pattern leads to insulin resistance, inflammation, and metabolic dysfunction. But whole foods, including certain dried fruits, behave very differently. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of sugar like fire. Refined sugar is like throwing gasoline on that fire, fast, explosive, and damaging. But the natural sugars in whole dried fruits? That's more like adding a slow-burning log. It releases energy gradually, in a controlled and sustained way. Why? Because dried fruits don't just contain sugar. They come packaged with dietary fiber, which slows glucose absorption, polyphenols, which improve insulin sensitivity, micronutrients, which support cellular metabolism. What the research shows is that this combination can actually reduce the glycemic impact of the food, meaning your blood sugar rises more slowly and stays more stable. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Certain dried fruits contain compounds that actively help your body manage glucose more efficiently. For example, dates contain polyphenols that have been shown to improve insulin response. Prunes support gut bacteria that help regulate blood sugar. Dried apricots provide carotenoids that reduce oxidative stress linked to insulin resistance. So instead of creating metabolic chaos, these foods can actually help restore metabolic balance when used correctly. But there's an important condition. Quantity and timing matter. If you eat large amounts of dried fruit throughout the day, especially alongside other high-carb foods, you can still overwhelm your system. However, when consumed in small strategic amounts, especially in the evening, something very different happens. Your body begins to shift out of storage mode and into repair mode. Here's why. At night, your insulin sensitivity naturally changes. Your body is less focused on burning incoming fuel and more focused on cellular repair, hormonal balance, brain detoxification. A small portion of the right dried fruit can provide just enough glucose to prevent nighttime cortisol spikes, which disrupt sleep, support liver glycogen, which stabilizes blood sugar overnight, and reduce the stress signals that lead to inflammation. In other words, you're not spiking your blood sugar. You're stabilizing your internal environment so your body can heal. This is especially important for seniors, where unstable blood sugar overnight can lead to poor sleep, brain fog the next day, increased inflammation, and even higher risk of metabolic disease. Now, here's a simple protocol you can start using tonight. About 60-90 minutes before bed, choose one type of dried fruit. Keep the portion small, about 2 to 3 pieces, or roughly 15-20 grams. Pair it with a small amount of healthy fat or protein, like a few almonds or walnuts. This combination slows absorption even further and creates a steady metabolic signal, not a spike. Repeat this consistently, and over time you may notice more stable energy in the morning, better sleep quality, reduced late-night cravings. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. I break down complex metabolic science into simple, practical strategies like this every day. Now let's go deeper into something most people never hear explained properly. It's not just about killing harmful cells. It's about changing the environment that allows them to survive in the first place. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Cancer cells, and even precancerous cells, are highly dependent on two things: a steady supply of glucose, chronic inflammation. Without these, their ability to grow and spread becomes significantly weaker. This is often referred to as a metabolic vulnerability. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine harmful cells as weeds in a garden. Most people try to deal with weeds by cutting them at the surface. But if the soil remains rich in the conditions that weeds thrive in, they grow right back. The smarter strategy? Change the soil. Make it less hospitable for weeds and more supportive of healthy plants. That's exactly what we're doing here, inside your body. Now, where do dried fruits fit into this? Certain dried fruits contain powerful plant compounds known as polyphenols and antioxidants. These compounds don't act like drugs. Instead, they act more like signals, influencing how your cells behave. What the research shows is that these compounds can reduce pro-inflammatory cytokines, the signals that keep inflammation active, improve endothelial function, your blood vessel health, and support your body's natural ability to detect and remove abnormal cells. Let's look at a few specific examples. Prunes, dried plums, are rich in chlorogenic acid. This compound has been studied for its ability to reduce oxidative stress, improve glucose metabolism, and support gut bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, which are deeply anti-inflammatory. Now here's why that matters. Your gut is not just for digestion. It's one of the largest regulators of your immune system. When your gut microbiome is balanced, it sends signals that help calm systemic inflammation. And when inflammation drops, you are effectively removing one of the key fuels that harmful cells depend on. Next, dried figs contain compounds like quercetin and luteolin. These have been shown in laboratory studies to help regulate abnormal cell signaling, reduce inflammatory pathways like NF-κB, and support apoptosis, your body's natural process of removing damaged cells. Again, not by force, but by restoring balance. And this is a key distinction. We're not trying to attack the body. We're trying to support the systems that already protect you. Now let's connect this back to your daily routine, because knowledge without action doesn't change anything. Here's a simple way to apply this. In your evening routine, when your body is shifting into repair mode, include 2-3 prunes or 1-2 dried figs, combined with a handful of walnuts, which provide omega-3 fats that further reduce inflammation. This combination does 3 important things. Supports your gut microbiome overnight, provides anti-inflammatory compounds when your body is most receptive, helps stabilize blood sugar, reducing inflammatory stress signals, and over time, this creates an internal environment that is less inflamed, more metabolically stable, and far less supportive of abnormal cell growth. If this is opening your eyes to a different way of thinking about food, not just as calories, but as information, consider subscribing. This is exactly the kind of practical, science-based content I share regularly. Now let's shift focus to one of the most powerful and often overlooked healing systems in your body, your brain's overnight repair and detox process. Because here's something most people don't realize. Your brain doesn't just rest when you sleep. It becomes highly active in a completely different way. Here's what's really going on inside your body. During deep sleep, your brain activates something called the glymphatic system. Think of this as your brain's nighttime cleaning crew. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your brain is like a busy city during the day, full of activity, traffic, and energy use. As neurons fire, they produce waste, including toxic proteins. Now, if that waste isn't cleared efficiently, it begins to accumulate. Over time, this buildup is associated with memory decline, cognitive impairment, and neurodegenerative conditions. But at night, when you enter deep sleep, your brain cells actually shrink slightly, creating space for fluid to flow through and flush out this waste. That's your glymphatic system in action. Now here's the key. This process is energy dependent and nutrient sensitive, which means what you consume in the hours before sleep can either support this cleanup process or interfere with it. This is where specific dried fruits become incredibly valuable. Certain dried fruits contain compounds that directly support neuronal protection, blood flow to the brain, and oxidative stress reduction. Let's look at one of the most powerful examples, dried blueberries. These are rich in anthocyanins, potent antioxidants that have been studied for their effects on brain health. What the research shows is that anthocyanins can improve neuronal signaling, enhance memory function, and reduce oxidative damage in brain tissue. In simple terms, they help your brain communicate better and age more slowly. Next, golden raisins contain resveratrol-like compounds and natural boron. These support blood flow to the brain, neurotransmitter balance, and cognitive performance. Now here's where timing becomes critical again. If you consume these in a controlled way before bed, you're essentially priming your brain for more efficient overnight repair. But remember, we're not talking about large quantities. We're talking about precision. Here's a simple protocol you can use. About 60 minutes before sleep, take 1 tablespoon of dried blueberries or 1 tablespoon of golden raisins. Pair with a small fat source, like 2-3 walnuts. Why walnuts? Because they provide omega-3 fatty acids, which support neuronal membrane health and help reduce inflammation in the brain. This combination creates a powerful effect: stable blood sugar, sustained nutrient delivery, and reduced oxidative stress during sleep. Now let's connect this to something practical you can notice. When your brain repairs efficiently overnight, you wake up with clearer thinking, better memory recall, more stable mood, and less mental fatigue. And over time, this becomes a form of long-term brain protection. Especially important as we age, because cognitive decline doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of years of inflammation, oxidative stress, and poor cellular repair. What you're doing here is interrupting that process at the root. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. I share simple, science-backed strategies like this every day to help you take control of your health naturally. Let's talk about something that many people assume is just a normal part of aging: gradual vision loss, blurry text, difficulty seeing at night, increased sensitivity to light. Most people accept this as inevitable. But here's what's really going on inside your body. Your eyes, especially the retina, are among the most metabolically active tissues you have. They require a constant supply of oxygen, nutrients, and antioxidant protection. Why? Because they are continuously exposed to light and oxidative stress. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your retina like the sensor in a high-end camera. It's incredibly precise, but also very delicate. Now imagine exposing that sensor to light every single day for decades. Without proper protection, damage begins to accumulate. This damage is driven largely by free radicals, chronic inflammation, and reduced blood flow. Over time, this can affect visual clarity, contrast sensitivity, and overall eye health. Now here's the important part. Your body has built-in defense systems to protect your eyes. But these systems depend heavily on specific nutrients. And this is where certain dried fruits become powerful tools. Let's start with one of the most effective, dried apricots. These are rich in beta-carotene, a precursor to vitamin A. Vitamin A plays a critical role in maintaining the health of the retina, supporting night vision, and protecting against oxidative damage. What the research shows is that adequate intake of carotenoids is associated with a lower risk of age-related vision decline. But there's more. Dried apricots also contain lutein and zeaxanthin-like compounds which help filter harmful blue light and reduce oxidative stress in the macula, the part of your eye responsible for sharp central vision. Next, raisins, particularly darker varieties, contain polyphenols that support blood vessel function, circulation to the eyes, and reduction of inflammatory stress. Now, why does circulation matter? Because your retina relies on tiny, delicate blood vessels. If those vessels become damaged, often due to high blood sugar, insulin resistance, or chronic inflammation, then nutrient delivery to the eye becomes compromised, and vision begins to decline. So again, we're coming back to the same root cause: metabolic health and inflammation. When you improve these, you're not just helping your weight or energy, you're protecting your vision. Now let's make this practical. Here's a simple evening protocol specifically for eye support. About 1 hour before bed, take 2-3 dried apricot halves, add a small handful of almonds. Why almonds? Because they provide vitamin E, which works synergistically with carotenoids to protect eye cells, and healthy fats that improve absorption of fat-soluble nutrients like beta-carotene. This combination helps deliver targeted nutrients to the retina, reduce oxidative stress overnight, and support long-term visual function. And over time, this can translate into better night vision, reduced eye fatigue, and slower progression of age-related changes. Now, one more key point: consistency matters more than intensity. You don't need large amounts. You need small, repeated signals that tell your body, protect, repair, and maintain. That's how real change happens. Now let's go one level deeper, to the foundation of your health, your DNA. Because every single process we've talked about, your metabolism, your brain function, your vision, even your immune defense, all trace back to one thing: how well your cells maintain and repair their DNA. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Every day, your DNA is under constant attack from oxidative stress, environmental toxins, natural metabolic processes, even normal energy production inside your mitochondria. In fact, your cells can experience thousands of tiny DNA damage events daily. Now, that might sound alarming, but your body is incredibly intelligent. It comes equipped with powerful systems designed to detect damage, pause cellular activity, repair the issue, or if necessary, remove the damaged cell entirely. This is what keeps you healthy. This is what prevents abnormal cells from becoming dangerous. But here's the problem: these repair systems are nutrient dependent and highly sensitive to inflammation and metabolic stress. So when blood sugar is unstable, inflammation is chronically elevated, and nutrient intake is insufficient, these systems begin to slow down. And over time, that's when risk begins to accumulate. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your DNA like a master blueprint in a library. Every day, copies are made so your body can function. Now imagine if those copies start developing small errors. If you have a team constantly proofreading and fixing those errors, everything stays on track. But if that repair team becomes overwhelmed or under-resourced, mistakes begin to stack up. That's how dysfunction begins at the cellular level. Now here's where specific dried fruits come into play. Certain dried fruits contain compounds that help activate and support these repair pathways. For example, dried figs and raisins contain polyphenols that influence pathways like sirtuins, proteins involved in cellular repair and longevity, and AMPK, a key energy sensor that helps regulate metabolism and stress resistance. What the research shows is that activating these pathways can improve mitochondrial efficiency, enhance DNA repair mechanisms, and reduce the accumulation of cellular damage over time. In simple terms, they help your body age more slowly, from the inside out. Now let's connect this to something practical, because again, knowledge only matters if you apply it. Here's a simple nightly protocol focused on cellular repair. About 60-90 minutes before bed, choose 1-2 dried figs or a small portion of raisins, about 1 tablespoon. Pair with a few walnuts or pistachios. This combination supports stable blood sugar, anti-inflammatory signaling, and activation of cellular repair pathways during sleep. Now, why is nighttime so important? Because during sleep, your body naturally shifts into repair mode, hormonal balance, tissue regeneration. This is when growth hormone is released, cellular cleanup increases, and DNA repair processes are most active. So what you're doing with this simple habit is giving your body the raw materials it needs at the exact time it needs them most. Over time, this can contribute to better recovery, slower biological aging, and stronger resilience against disease. If this is helping you see food in a completely new way, not just as fuel, but as information that directs your biology, consider subscribing. This is exactly the kind of science-based, practical guidance I share every day. Now let's bring everything together. Because information is powerful, but execution is what creates results. You've now seen how specific dried fruits can stabilize blood sugar, reduce inflammation, support brain detox, protect vision, and activate DNA repair pathways. But here's the missing piece for most people. They don't apply these tools at the right time or in the right way. And when that happens, even the best foods lose their impact. So let's simplify this into a clear, repeatable system you can actually follow. Here's what's really going on inside your body at night. As the evening progresses, your body begins shifting from sympathetic mode, active, alert, stress-driven, into parasympathetic mode, repair, recovery, regeneration. At the same time, cortisol should gradually decrease, melatonin begins to rise, growth hormone is prepared for release during deep sleep. This is your biological repair window. Now, if your blood sugar drops too low during the night, your body perceives that as stress. And what does it do? It releases cortisol to bring glucose back up. That leads to interrupted sleep, increased inflammation, reduced repair efficiency. So the goal is simple. Provide just enough stable energy and targeted nutrients to support repair without triggering storage or spikes. This is where your nightly protocol comes in. Let's break it down into something practical and sustainable. Step 1, timing. Consume your dried fruit combination, 60 to 90 minutes before bed. This gives your body enough time to begin digestion, stabilize blood sugar, and transition smoothly into sleep mode. Step 2, choose one functional focus per night. Instead of mixing everything together, rotate based on your goal. For brain support, dried blueberries or golden raisins plus walnuts. For gut and inflammation, prunes or figs plus walnuts. For vision support, dried apricots plus almonds. For cellular repair and longevity, figs or raisins plus pistachios. This creates a targeted signal rather than overwhelming your system. Step 3, control the portion. This is where precision matters. Keep it small. 15-20 grams of dried fruit, roughly 2 to 3 pieces or 1 tablespoon. A small handful of nuts, 5-7 pieces. Remember, we are not trying to fill up. We are sending a metabolic message. Step 4, create a consistent routine. Your body thrives on rhythm. Try to eat at the same time each evening. Dim lights after your snack. Avoid screens or high stimulation. This reinforces your body's natural circadian rhythm. Now let's talk about what to avoid, because this is just as important. Avoid combining this protocol with large high-carb dinners late at night, sugary desserts, processed snacks, because that shifts your body back into storage mode, elevated insulin, and increased inflammation, which directly cancels the benefits we're trying to create. Now, here's what you may start to notice if you apply this consistently. Within a few days, more stable sleep, fewer nighttime awakenings. Within a few weeks, clearer thinking in the morning, better energy regulation, reduced cravings, and over time, improved metabolic flexibility, lower inflammation, stronger cellular resilience. This is how small habits create long-term transformation. You're not relying on willpower. You're working with your biology, not against it. And one final reminder, this isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. Even doing this 4 or 5 nights per week can begin to shift your internal environment in a meaningful way. Let's bring this all together, because what we've covered today is simple on the surface, but incredibly powerful when you understand what's happening underneath. We started with a question. Can something as simple as dried fruit actually help support your brain, your vision, and even your body's defense systems against disease? And now you've seen the answer is yes, when used correctly and in the right context. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your health is not determined by one big decision. It's shaped by small, repeated signals you give your body every single day, and especially every single night. Because nighttime is when your body repairs damaged cells, balances hormones, clears metabolic waste from the brain, and restores systems that protect you long term. But all of that depends on the environment you create. And that environment is influenced by blood sugar stability, inflammation levels, nutrient availability. So when you use specific dried fruit strategically, you're not just eating a snack. You're helping your body stabilize glucose, reducing stress signals, calm inflammation, removing the fuel for chronic disease, support brain detox, improving clarity and memory, protect your eyes, preserving vision as you age, and activate DNA repair pathways, supporting longevity at the cellular level. Let me repeat that because it matters. This is not about the food itself. It's about the message that food sends to your biology. And when that message is consistent, your body responds. Now, here's your challenge, and I encourage you to actually do this. Starting tonight, choose just one protocol from what we discussed. Brain, vision, inflammation, or cellular repair. Keep it simple. Follow the timing. 60-90 minutes before bed, small portion, paired with healthy fat, and then observe. Pay attention to your sleep quality, your energy in the morning, your mental clarity, because your body will give you feedback. And that feedback is more valuable than any theory. Over time, you can rotate and build this into a system that works for you. One more important point, this is not a replacement for medical care, but it is a powerful way to support your body's natural systems, the same systems that modern research continues to show are central to long-term health. You're not fighting your body,